Hey everyone, Chad with Data Prep U again. Now today's session is going to get a little more personal because we're going to explore my favorites bar. Now you might have noticed that my favorite section has changed quite a bit, or it actually gets kind of moved around a little bit. Well, I do change it quite frequently based on the project that I'm actually working with. Now there are lots of other little tips and tricks though that I like to employ. So first off, just based off of what you typically do, what I end up doing is I've actually removed my browse tool. That's probably one of the first and key things here. Now, the reason why is kind of extensive. The primary one though is because you actually have keyboard shortcuts that allow you to add browses to anything that you want. So if you have, let's say, an input tool here and that's highlighted, and you hit Control Shift and the letter B, that actually adds a browse tool to any highlighted tool. So it's kind of unnecessary for that to clutter up your favorites bar, in my opinion. On top of that, you can also right click on any single tool, and if there is an output anchor, you can add additional browse tools to that. Of course, your input and output and text input data tools are very, very critical to me. Once we get into the preparation category, there are only a few changes. I do keep the data cleansing, the filtering, and the formula tools, but I also add in the multi-row formula tool, because anytime I'm doing any sort of Excel parsing or kind of data extraction from that, the multi-row formula tool is critical for me because it allows me to dig through the data and find common trends, find common patterns, and create groups in the data, and so on and so forth. Of course, the select tool is in there. Sample, I kind of go back and forth on that. If I'm doing a lot of Excel work or kind of replicating a lot of Excel work, I do actually keep the sample tool in there quite a bit. I think the other real big one is the regex tool, the regular expression tool, just because it is so incredibly powerful, especially for text parsing and text editing and text finding. So I do like to have the regular expression tool in there. Now, one final thing is I actually do use tool containers quite a bit. However, I do not have it in my favorites bar, and the reason why is because that's another tip. If you actually highlight any set of tools, you can actually right click and then say add to new container. Now, there's also kind of an underlying tip within this as well, is you can actually set a default background color for your tool containers as well. So I've actually used the Data Prep U color that I actually really like quite a bit for my tool containers. It actually helps just kind of minimize some of the overall clicks that I typically have to go through in order to create a workflow. So that's a quick little preview of the samples that I actually, or excuse me, the favorites that I actually prefer within my favorites bar, along with a handful of other tips as well. Now, you can further customize things as well in addition to the tool containers. If you actually go into Help, Options, and then User Settings and Edit User Settings, you can set specific defaults for certain tools. So there's actually one specific thing for dataset defaults. So if you want to specifically have Alteryx always default to the Carto or TomTom maps, you can do that. You can do the same thing with your demographic tools as well. But there's also defaults you can set for the canvas. Here you can see my tool container canvas as well, the actual background for the canvas, in addition to annotation settings, such as the size and the fonts used for your annotation. So really helping you customize your specific instance of Alteryx, but also customizing how you deliver certain things or how you deliver workflows to other customers or other colleagues as well. Once again, this is Chad with Data Prep U. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to see more, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment for additional things that you would like to see in our YouTube series. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.